The Doug Wright Show. Doug scores big-time interviews on Utah's most important stories on KSL News Radio.
We really are delighted to have the Libertarian ticket right here in our KSL studios today. Governor Gary Johnson running for president on the Libertarian side, and then also former Governor Bill Weld of Massachusetts running as vice president. We were just talking about some of the potential picks out there for Donald Trump. I don't know who Hillary Clinton will go with, but this ticket is locked down and ready to go and on all 50 state ballots. And the question that I left kind of hanging out in the ether before we took a break, what is it going to take? In my lifetime, I remember John Anderson, but I was very young at the time, but the one I remember is Ross Perot. Now, he had a lot of money, could self-fund, do a lot of things like that. There were some interesting things going on with Bill Clinton at the time, and then also George Herbert Walker Bush. What is it going to take to get some real traction here and make a third-party ticket that is, and I'll be very candid, as desirable as this one? What is it going to take to not only put a fire under it, but to get it to a boiling point? And maybe I'll ask you that first.
Doug, I think Bill and I will both agree that we would not be doing this if there weren't the real opportunity to actually win. And I think that this is happening. I mean, right now you've got, you had Paul Ryan on, I guess, last night doing the CNN town hall, and he, on a number of occasions, went out of his way to not name our names. Yeah. Well, that's not going to last that much longer. Really,
I think he was going out of his way not to mention Donald Trump's name, too.
No, well, yes, and but Johnson Weld, going out of his way. But that's not holding up. I do think that the polls are breaking down right now. By breaking down, simply including our names. And, there's a big pathway right down the middle here for the Libertarian Party.
Never in my lifetime can I ever remember Republicans so unhappy with their presumptive nominee, Governor Weld. So, again, I'll ask that same question of you. Where do you see the path? What do you see?
I think people just have to wake up and realize they have this choice. It's a very appealing choice. We are right down the middle. We're fiscally conservative, and we've proved it. And people know that the government can't spend money it doesn't have. One of my favorite slogans is there's no such thing as government money. There's only taxpayers' money. Okay, that's a proposition that sells, being socially inclusive and welcoming and tolerant. Instead of trying to have the government run people's personal lives. That's a very appealing proposition. When people realize they have that choice, they're going to gravitate to us, and we're a comfortable choice. We're seasoned. We're comfortable with each other. We have a lot of experience taming budgets, so you don't have the sort of unknown that you would have with even a Ross Perot, great as was his experience in business. You kind of didn't know what he was going to do if he got there. Yeah. You know what we're going to do if we get there, and I think that'll be reassuring to voters once they focus. And there's entirely too much time left between now and the election for everybody to remain asleep. I think they've got to wake up and smell the coffee. And we're the coffee.
Let's talk. We've talked taxes before, Governor Johnson, but Governor Weld, while you're here too, we had one of our texters who said, how does your tax plan help the average American? How is it different than Trump's? And we could also ask, how is it different than Hillary Clinton's? What is the tax plan?
Well, I've said that, look, we're looking to get elected president, vice president, and I don't know is it such a bad plan to simply say, look, we're going to sign on to anything that makes things more simple, makes the taxes collection simpler, reducing taxes. There won't be a tax increase when it comes to Johnson and Weld, and that's back to this proven in office. Neither of us raised taxes. I was able to cut taxes 14 times. Bill cut taxes 21 times in states that were heavily Democratic. But for me personally, I would like to eliminate income tax and corporate tax. abolish the IRS and replace all of it with a federal consumption tax. I put up the fair tax as a template for how you can dot the I's and cross the T's regarding that. Bill would say, let's just go with a flat tax. Well, you know what? All those things are better than what we currently have. And I think that politicians, or at least presidential candidates, they get so wedded to a specific plan when the reality is this does have to come out of Congress, and there needs to be a national debate and discussion on why lower taxes is a good thing when it comes to jobs. If we had a zero corporate tax rate, in my opinion, tens of millions of jobs would get created in this country. When Brexit right now, when Britain right now is talking about a 15% flat corporate tax, guess what? There's going to be a lot of jobs created in Britain as a result of this. Going to a flat tax, reducing taxes on a flat rate from our current 30% plus corporate tax rate, that's going to would make a huge difference.
The two things that I really resent, overly simplistic, but I resent the time it takes. I can't do my own taxes now, and I'm not some big mogul. But keeping all of the receipts, justifying what I make, almost apologizing sometimes and groveling up and offering this receipt and that receipt and having them question my charitable donation, it makes me insane. And then the fact that I pay a larger percentage than a percentage of my income than billionaires pay. That bothers me. It bothers Warren Buffett. Governor Weld, your thoughts on taxes especially?
Well, I think simplification and reduction is the name of the game. I like the flat tax could be 17%. It's associated with Steve Forbes, who ran for president twice on that issue. I think the economics works out, and all that complication you referred to would go away. As a matter of jobs, and let's not forget that the best social program anyone ever created is a solid job. In terms of jobs, the important thing is for the employer community to understand that taxes are not going to go up. Because if they think taxes are going to go up, it makes them feel insecure, and they don't want to hire more workers, which drives up wages. So I don't think you could be assured with either of the other two candidates, the D candidate or the R candidate, that taxes aren't going to go up. Both of them have talked about taxes going up. With Johnson Weld, you can be assured taxes are going to go down, and I think that's going to be good for the economy and good for job creation. And I don't care whether it's, open shop or union. It's good for workers all around the country.
We have just a moment left, and we had a texter who said, what are your thoughts on gun control, or perhaps a way of putting that, on gun rights? And maybe, Governor Weld, I could start with you on that.
I don't think guns wake up in the morning and say, I want to go out and shoot some people. I've been a gun owner my whole life, and I consider myself a strong Second Amendment guy.
Governor Johnson.
Well, I ditto that, but I think we'd be open. The whole country needs to be open to a discussion on how you keep guns out of the hands of the mentally ill. We should be open to a discussion on how you potentially keep guns out of the hands of terrorists, would-be terrorists, but none of the suggestions that we've seen, I think, accomplish that in any way. But look, Johnson Weld in office, maybe a good idea will come along.
Where does it go from here? What's next on your agenda before we hit the top of the hour?
Last time I was here, Doug, we made a video together, and that video came out, and we had 5 million views in 5 days, which is just unheard of. So we're going to make some videos today, and we're headed to Las Vegas, Freedom Fest tomorrow, with a number of appearances at that event.
I asked Governor Johnson this last time, and Governor Weld, I'll ask you as a final thought, because I've been there, where I go, okay, look, I really like these guys, but I don't want to throw my vote away. But this year, the thought of me voting Democrat turns my stomach. The thought of me voting Republican turns my stomach. Tell me why I need to go third party this year, Governor Weld.
Well, it's very easy because we're going to be on the ballot in all 50 states. So you're going to have 3 choices. And if you want to see taxes go up, you can vote Democratic. And if you want a government that's going to tell you how to run your personal life and with quite an unsteady presidential candidate, to put it mildly, you can vote R. But if you want 2 seasoned, experienced people who know how to do what has to be done to tame the federal budget and the federal government, you got Johnson and Weld right there on the ballot.
Governor Weld, what a pleasure to have you here. So nice
Doug.
to meet you. And Governor Johnson, I always love having you come through the door.
Hey, 2 months from now, it might be Governor Johnson, Governor Weld. Who do you think takes more votes away from your ticket? Clinton or Trump?
Wouldn't that be a wonderful discussion to have? I look forward to that discussion. Let's book that one, okay?
All right.
Governor Johnson, thank you. Governor Weld, what a pleasure. The Libertarian candidates for the presidency and the vice presidency of the United States of America.